Hi, my name is Rose and this is my channel Możliwe, in English mean possible. Today my guest is Jarosław Beksa, CEO of Sonnar. Hi Jarosław.
Hi Ross, thank you for having me.
Perhaps you will make the world a better place thanks to Sonnar. Where did you get the idea from?
For Sonnar, well, many years ago, I was back in Poland. I was working for Polish Telecom, and we've been working on some innovative services such as speech recognition, speech synthesis, and one of the services will be in testing. It was tested with a person who was blind, and we had like a warming up questions. I simply asked, "Hey, do you play video games?" And he told me, "No, because nobody makes games for us." And that made me thinking like, wow, that's so strange. I love games personally, and thinking that someone is not able to play games was just felt not right. And that was the moment where I decided I'm gonna make some games. And the first thing that I did, I played all the games that were accessible to people who are blind, and I didn't like them. They were really poor quality. There were very few of them, and I simply decided I can change that, and I want to change that.
Okay, when we usually think of people with disabilities, we tend to focus on tools that make their life easier, but we do not think of the entertainment for them. Did you consider what you were creating is kind of mission?
Yes, well, not initially. I didn't realize how important this topic can be until we actually published some of the games and when we started doing some usability study or user interviews. And it was a discovery. We found out, maybe it seems obvious, but people who are blind, they want to play games just like anyone else. They want to have access to the entertainment just like anyone else. And this blind person, he told me something really interesting. When he wanted to play a video game such as The Witcher, he would have to ask his sister, and he was totally dependent on his sister's availability. So imagine he was waiting for her when she would come back. She needed to have a good mood, time, and he would give her commands, and she would play the game for him. And he simply felt not self-reliant, not independent, and giving an option to gamers who are blind or who are disabled to be independent it's wonderful. They love that.
Mhm. Polish people are famous for creating a computer games like Sleep and Witcher. Was your ambition to create something as big and well known?
Well, maybe at some point as a long-term dream, but with this project, totally not. Like even if you think about it, how many people are there who are blind who would like to play games? It's a much smaller group. But yeah, it would be great to run a studio like that one day. Why not?
What was the biggest obstacle you had to overcome to develop your startup?
Oh, well, I was actually trying to build this idea in Poland, and I couldn't find really anyone interested besides Polish Telecom, but by that time. And I started pursuing PhD opportunities, and I really couldn't find a single university interested in that topic. And I started sending my project proposals overseas, Australia, New Zealand, and US, specifically Hawaii. And New Zealand was the first to respond, and they really liked the project and proposed me a scholarship at one of the universities. It was really, really, really great.
Mhm. Before our meeting, you told me that you are fall in love with science. Can you tell me more about it?
Oh yeah, that's just after I finished high school. I don't know if you remember those times where after high school you would have to either study or go to the military service. I wasn't ready to go for my military service back then, so I was looking for any study, and I wanted to be a firefighter. I didn't get into the to the best school in Warsaw. Then I tried to go for AWF, Akademia Wychowania Fizycznego,
Mhm.
and I studied there for a year, but that was not it. And again, I was trying to study at the firefighter school, and every time I was failing my maths and physics exam. And at some point, my older brother told me, "Why don't you just go and study physics, and they will teach you physics and maths to the extent that then you can easily get into the firefighter school." But after I did it, after I went to study physics, I actually liked it. I decided not to change it, and I completed physics at Warsaw University. I guess that was it.
Okay, both Sonnar and your achievement are better now abroad than in Poland. Does this bother you?
No, not at all, because the games we've done, they were actually in English, and the most downloads are actually coming from US, UK. So it's not even coming from New Zealand. And I was thinking about it at some point. It would be really great to maybe translate the games and release them in Polish language. But by far, there are way more English-speaking blind people who are playing those games.
Are you going to move to New Zealand temporarily or permanently?
I think I will stay. I'm here already over 6 years, and I love it. I think about New Zealand as my new home.
Mhm. It is easier to create a startup in New Zealand?
Well, I guess from the formalities point of view, yes, you can actually open up a startup in like 1 hour online. You just need to pay like $150. And I find the tax system much easier, way easier than the Polish one. Yes, I would guess it's easier.
You are not available on social media besides LinkedIn. Why is that?
Oh, I used to be a couple of years ago, but then I decided it's a waste of time, and there's nothing really that valuable that you cannot find everywhere else. And also, even like interpersonal connections, I find them to be way more important in real life, or maybe even meeting people, calling them directly instead of just using the Facebook wall or using Messenger. I just didn't like that.
Mhm.
It was too shallow.
You are believed to be an outstanding leader. You always give people good energy and optimism. Where does your strength come from?
Good question. I Once I was reading a cool article about the difference between motivation and inspiration, and motivation was external, coming from other people, so someone can motivate you, but inspiration comes from the inside. And yeah, I guess I get a lot of inspiration which comes from the inside. Hard to explain. I just like doing things with really great people.
Mhm. Which award over the years has been most valuable to you?
Oh, actually, I think the most significant ever was at Polish Telecom, winning the Telecreator. I forgot which year was it. I remember I was an intern proposing an idea to make games for blind. I wasn't even an employee. And imagine a situation when, as an intern, you go to the largest telco in Poland and you compete with projects like, I don't know, increasing fiber data transfer, or maybe some other optimizations that will bring millions of zlotys savings to Polish Telecom, and all of a sudden you win the contest. That was unbelievable. Great recognition, pretty good cash award, and then all of a sudden they hire you next week. Literally next week, you get hired. That was really wonderful. And after that, this idea won multiple awards, really multiple.
Mhm. Do you think that all applications will be replaced by voice applications?
Uh, I'm not sure if replaced, but that would be like another channel. I like to think about it in a way. Imagine year 2000 when someone would tell you, hey, everybody needs a website. And some people would say, no, I'm not sure. 10 years later, everybody has a website. Then 2010, App Store is getting popular, same as Google Play Store. Someone tells you every company will need an app, mobile app. Initially, people are like, no, I don't need it. It's too complicated, too expensive. Now, pretty much every company has an app. And recently, we got this introduction of voice technologies like Alexa and Google Home. And I find people being curious, like, oh, what it is. I don't think I need it, but I'm sure in like 5 years or 10 years from now, everybody, not most of companies will have a voice application and voice presence. That's just what I think is going to happen.
What are the biggest problem and limitation of your job?
As a startup founder,
Yeah.
limitations. Well, running a startup is not easy. It's very time consuming. It puts very like it has high risk, puts a lot of pressure on you as a founder. It's very uncertain, very unstable, and it requires a lot of resilience, and I guess like a strong character, self-motivation, in order to do it.
Mm-hmm. Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
For sure in New Zealand. I would love to run a startup. However, recently I engaged in tertiary education. I became a lecturer at one of the universities in New Zealand, and I actually enjoy it. I enjoy sharing knowledge, passion, and inspiring younger people, younger developers, younger future startup founders. I find it really, really energizing, and it's great to work with people who have passion and want to build something.
Mm-hmm. Jarosław, thank you for our meeting.
Thank you, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.